deep within the frozen depths of the northern Canadian permafrost. We've stumbled upon biological anomalies that defy explanation. Coarse, unidentifiable follicles, preserved for millennia, are whispering secrets of a time long past. Today we wield the power of advanced DNA sequencing to unlock their mysteries. Are we looking at a known predator, or have we finally unearthed tangible evidence of a relict hominid? Let's begin our investigation with the verified facts. The subarctic permafrost acts as a time capsule, preserving organic material that dates back thousands of years. These follicles, discovered in layers of ancient ice, are unlike any known species in the region. The DNA we extract could provide crucial insights into the creatures that once roamed this harsh landscape. Imagine the stories these remnants could tell, if only they could speak. Our timeline takes us back to the Pleistocene epoch, a time when megafauna thrived in what is now the tundra. This was an era marked by colossal creatures, such as woolly mammoths and saber-toothed cats, roaming the vast expanses of North America. Indigenous legends speak of the large man of the barrens, a creature said to wander these frozen landscapes, leaving behind tales of mystery and intrigue. As we map our discovery site against historical accounts, we find intriguing parallels. Accounts of sightings date back centuries, yet the scientific community has largely dismissed them as myth. But now let's delve into the controversies surrounding these findings. One theory suggests that the follicles belong to a previously unknown species, perhaps a surviving remnant of a relict population. Proponents of this theory cite the preservation capabilities of permafrost as evidence that species can endure in isolation, hidden from the world for thousands of years. Imagine a creature, once thought extinct, still lurking in the shadows of history, waiting to be rediscovered. Skeptics counter that without concrete DNA evidence, this remains speculation. They urge caution, reminding us that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Another explanation points to misidentified remains of known animals, such as bears or wolves. Supporters of this claim argue that the follicles could easily belong to these creatures, which once roamed the area. They highlight the similarities in fur texture and structure, suggesting that the harsh conditions of the tundra could lead to unique adaptations. Critics, however, highlight the unique characteristics of the samples, suggesting they do not match any known species. They argue that the distinct features of these follicles could indicate something entirely new, something that challenges our understanding of evolution and survival. Finally, some believe these findings could be linked to ancient human relatives, speculating on the existence of a hominid that evaded extinction. While intriguing, this theory requires more substantial evidence to gain traction. The idea that our ancestors might have shared this land with other hominids is both fascinating and unsettling. What would it mean for our understanding of human evolution if we were to find evidence of a species that walked alongside us, yet remained hidden in the annals of time? Now, let's separate fact from folklore. Verified facts include the existence of the permafrost and the discovery of unidentifiable follicles. These are tangible, scientific realities that we can study and analyze. Unverified claims involve the existence of the large man of the barrens and its connection to these samples. While these stories are rich in cultural significance, they remain in the realm of legend until proven otherwise. The most plausible explanation based on current evidence is that we have yet to fully understand the biological history of this region. What remains unknown is the true identity of these follicles and whether they can rewrite the narrative of our past. As we continue our exploration, we must consider the implications of our findings. If these follicles do belong to a previously unknown species, what does that mean for biodiversity in the region? Could there be more undiscovered life forms hidden beneath the ice, waiting for the right conditions to emerge? The potential for new discoveries is both thrilling and daunting. Each layer of permafrost we uncover could hold the key to understanding not just the past, but also the future of our planet. The scientific community is buzzing with excitement and skepticism alike. Researchers are eager to analyze the DNA, to compare it with existing databases, and to see if we can finally put a name to these mysterious remnants. The process is painstaking, requiring meticulous attention to detail and a willingness to challenge established norms. As we await the results, we are reminded of the delicate balance between curiosity and caution in the pursuit of knowledge. In the meantime, the folklore surrounding the large man of the barrens continues to captivate the imagination. Stories passed down through generations speak of a creature that embodies the spirit of the wilderness, a guardian of the land that remains elusive and enigmatic. These tales serve as a reminder of our connection to the natural world and the mysteries that lie within it. They encourage us to look beyond the surface and to seek out the stories that have shaped our understanding of the environment. As we reflect on our journey through the frozen landscape, we are left with more questions than answers. What if these follicles are just the tip of the iceberg? What other secrets does the permafrost hold? The quest for knowledge is never-ending, and each discovery leads us to new frontiers of understanding. If you enjoyed this exploration into the mysteries of the permafrost, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your curiosity fuels our journey into the unknown. Together, we can continue to uncover the stories of our past and the wonders of our world. Thank you for joining us on this adventure, and we look forward to sharing more discoveries with you in the future.